FYI, the postings for both tonight and Thursday night are all completed now, so we're in good shape.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Thanks. We'll talk after this week's over about maybe a slightly better way to do that going forward. But because Susan and I discussed it today, but we completely get why you want to do it and make sure that it happens efficiently.
Good.
I'm going to mute and disappear, but if you need me, just holler.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Expired days. You list no longer turn back fibers, citing coding concerns with the right of vehicle, but federal leads and what they're most concerned about.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. We'll get the meeting started in just a few minutes. I'm waiting for a few other people to join. And Natalie, I see you've got your hand up. If you want to put something in the chat. Okay, I think we can get going. Yes, so we'll get started. For all the attendees, you will not be able to be seen or heard until if you're an applicant, until your application is called. At that time, we'll raise you to be a panelist, and then you can turn on your camera and speak. And to the public, if you are raising your hand to speak on an application, we'll also raise you, and you can turn on your camera and speak. So I put the link to tonight's agenda. Well, first, this is Community Board 2, SLA 1 meeting for May 2023. And I am Donna Raftery, co-chair of the SLA committee. Also here I have Bob Ely, who is my co-chair. And then I have Cormac Flynn, member of the committee, Susan Wittenberg, a member of the committee, Lois Rakoff, a member of the committee, and Carter Booth, also a member of the committee. So the procedure will be when I call on the applicant, you raise your hand and we will promote you to panelist. At that time, you'll be able to turn on your video camera and speak, go through the application, and then the committee will have an opportunity to ask questions. Anyone from the public who is wishing to speak on an application should wait to raise their hand until after the applicants have presented and the committee has asked their questions. So for the public, just don't raise your hand when I call on the applicants, just so I know who's the applicant and can raise them up. After we've heard from the applicant and the committee has asked their questions, we will go to the public for any questions or comments that you would like to make. The public should address their comments and questions to the committee. We ask that you be concise. If others have already said what you were going to address, then just confirm that you agree with what they said and keep it brief. There's no reason to repeat the points. And committee members, if you have any comments, just reserve them until the public has spoken, unless you have a question for a member of the public who is speaking, and then certainly ask your question of them then. After we have heard from the public, we'll give the applicant the opportunity to respond to the committee. Ask for no back and forth between people, and I ask that everybody to speak politely to each other and just respectfully to each other. And then I think pretty much the applications for tonight are going to be heard in order, and I will put that one more time in the chat. And let's see. So if you are here for entity to be formed by Babak Karami doing business as Tokyo Tavern at 183 Grand Street, they just laid over the application, so we will not be hearing that this month. Other recent layovers that were yesterday, in case someone missed them on the calendar, is Mad for Chicken Times Square at 19 Waverly. That one has been withdrawn. Entity to be formed by Christian Macancella doing business as the original Benito 1 at 174 Mulberry, and 357 West Broadway LLC doing business as Caviar Cafe at 357 West Broadway. Both of those are laid over until next month. There are other layovers, but they've been on the agenda for a while, and you can check it there. So the first application, I'm just going to go through. We are not going to be hearing them tonight because we waived appearance, is 179 Prince Street, doing business as Revelie Luncheonette. And that's an alteration. It's just adding storage warehouse to the premises. They are adding it to the basement liquor storage. There's no change in the method of operation, no patron use or service of alcohol to the basement. We have executed stipulations in place, so we can give their appearance for tonight.
Could you just repeat the application again?
Yeah, sure. It is 179 Prince Street LLC, doing business as Revelie Luncheonette at 179 Prince Street.
And just everyone, Natalie, everyone will be given an opportunity to speak tonight. So when the appropriate time is, we'll let everybody know.
Okay, then the first application we're going to hear is Takeshi Sushi LLC, doing business as Kintsugi, 28 Grand Street. If you could raise your hands, this is a corporate change for an on-premise restaurant.
Now, Donna, do you need help bringing people up?
I think if you can bring people down, I'll bring people up, I think.
Great.
Thank you.
Good evening. So we're doing a simple corporate change for changing from 8 owners to just 2 of us left. There's no changes in the mode of operation. Everything will remain the same.
Okay, and you are the applicant?
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Okay, so just quickly, you're just removing some of the principles. Your hours are 11 to 12, 7 days a week. You don't have any outdoor seating. And I think that kind of goes through it. Correct?
Yes.
Style sushi restaurant.
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody from the committee have any questions? Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or any comments on this application? Hang on 1 minute. Darlene Boots. Darlene, you should be able to turn on your camera and speak. There you go.
Hi, good evening. I'm not going to turn on my camera, no makeup.
Fine.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Chihuahua. We love your restaurant and thank you for taking the shed away. We're elated. We can't wait to come and see you again.
Really appreciate it. We really appreciate what the community have done for us for the last 5 years, and we're looking to stay for even longer.
Great. Thank you, Darlene. I think that does it.
And
Okay,
I see a Mr. Gonzalez. I don't know.
I think, is he the attorney?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the representative, but I had a hard time getting on, and I finally got on the panel, and basically it's done at the end of the day.
Okay, great.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, the next application we are going to hear is going to be 450 West Broadway LLC and Lowder-Tascarella Hospitality LLC doing business as Principe at 450 West Broadway. This is also a corporate change for an on-premise restaurant. If you could raise your hand.
Good evening, Manhattan Community Board 2.
Hi. And I think Robert is coming on as well.
Yes, Robert Goldman should be on as well.
There he is. Oh,
So I'm here today on behalf of 450 West Broadway LLC. They operate a restaurant at 450 West Broadway. It's in Soho. This is a corporate change application. Rob is on. He is a principal, and he's going to answer any questions you might have. Just very briefly, we're adding a new holding company to the org chart. The license was previously held by Rob and his partner in a 60-40 split. They're adding this new holding corporation and adding some passive investors. Rob is still going to be the managing member, and he is still involved in the day-to-day. He is the manager of the property, and that's it.
And there's no changes. The hours are 7 to 12, Sunday to Thursday, and 7 to 1, Friday and Saturday. There is no outdoor. It's primarily background music, unless you have an event in the lower spot, then you may have live music.
I apologize. Everything in the method of operations is staying exactly the same.
Okay, great. I think I don't have any questions. Does anybody from the committee have any questions? No. Is there anyone from the public here on this application? I see no one, so I think you're good.
Then I just have a quick question. So what's being removed?
I apologize.
What is being removed? What's being removed from the ownership?
So we're adding in a holding company. It's going to be the direct owner. And then one of the current principals is coming off, and we are adding in about 30 new passive investors.
So what do you have the before and after?
Yeah, it should have been included. So it
Okay.
was directly owned by Rob Goldman and Tressel, 450 Broadway LLC. And now it is going to be directly owned by 450 West Broadway Partners LLC, which is owned by Rob's company Bulldog, another investor named Lloyd, and then an additional 20 investors who each have a less than 10% interest.
And they're not going to have any involvement in any of the operational?
No, Rob is the only one who's going to be involved in the operations. Everybody else is passive.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I think that does it. Thank you. Okay, the next application is going to be Organic Grill Inc., 133 West 3rd Street. This is a restaurant wine and alteration application. If you could raise your hands if you are here. Organic Grill. I do not see anyone, so I will call them again later. Okay, so then the next one will be Cured Inc. at 218 Thompson. This is a tavern wine license, a previously unlicensed location. If you could raise your hand.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Is there anybody else here with you? Or is it
Just myself.
Okay, great. Go right ahead.
All right, great. So I'm Jilly. I'm the owner and manager of Cured Charcuterie. We're at 218 Thompson Street. So we're a charcuterie board eatery. We offer on-demand charcuterie platters to folks for dine-in and takeout, and we're looking to do a new beer and wine license to offer an additional amenity to our guests, a choice of beer or wine with their charcuterie platters.
And your hours?
So we operate from noon to 7 during the week, and on Friday and Saturday, we're noon to 9 p.m.
Okay, are you open now? Are you already open? Or?
Yeah, we opened a few months back.
Okay, and so when we put together stipulations for this, the hours are hard closing hours. That means all patrons need to be out. So is all patrons are out by 9 o'clock?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, and let's see. Is there any outside seating?
No outdoor seating, nope.
Okay, and then any changes you're making to the outside at all?
Nope, nothing.
And operable doors, windows, aside from the entry door? Like doors or?
Oh, nope, just the entry door.
Okay, and there's no TVs?
No TVs. We do have some background music. We just play it from a speaker, but it's fairly quiet, nothing too loud.
Okay, does anybody from the committee have any questions? Cormac?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, do I understand from the application, this is a previously unlicensed location? There wasn't a license holder here prior to your moving in?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else from the committee? Susan? You're muted.
Hi, thank you. It's so nice to see you. I'm just sort of curious, like your restaurant is so unique to us, wanting to close from 7 to 9. You know, we normally hear from restaurants who say they can't survive unless we can keep them open till 2 or 4 in the morning. Do you have incredibly low rent or a unique business model?
Yeah, I would say our business model is fairly unique. It's very occasion driven for consumption. And so a lot of folks will come in during the day and, you know, take it for a party or a picnic. And so it's less of like cooking, and we actually don't do any cooking. It's just assembling the platters, really.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Lois?
Yes, hi. I live on this block. I'd like to know what you're replacing. I'm looking out my window and I can't see it right now. What is the store you're going into?
So it's at 218 Thompson. I believe it used to be a bubble tea place that we're replacing. And before that, it was a bakery, I believe. So yes, those are the previous occupations there.
Okay, so my next question is, are you having bike delivery? Are you having people standing around waiting to take out on the sidewalk? How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, so we do some online deliveries, but it's mostly people placing on our website for pickup. And then most other folks will just do walk-in business for our operation. So coming in and choosing the meats and cheeses they'd like on their platter, and we assemble it in front of them. It's part of the experience. So, and then they take it or they eat it in there.
And what's your capacity? How many people are you going to have seated?
We have 7 tables, about less than 19 seats in there.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And there's a basement with it, but no patrons down in the basement, correct?
Correct. That's just dry storage.
And the bathroom is in the back.
Yes.
And you said no outdoor dining or shed or tables on the sidewalk. Did you say that?
Yeah, that's what for now, no. Just getting started here. makes things a little bit complex for us. So no, we're not going to do any outdoor seating.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carter?
Yeah, I was just looking at your application, and the area, from what I can see on the New York City's website, is zoned residential. And I don't see that you have a certificate of occupancy. And I was just wondering if you have a letter of no objection, or what, what allows this premise to be occupied for retail use.
We do have a certificate of occupancy. It's use group 6, like retail and service establishment.
You have a copy of that?
Yeah, I can.
I don't see it on the New York City's Department of Building website.
Yeah, I can forward that over to whoever would require or would like to see that.
And that's for 218 Thompson Street?
Yes, correct.
And what's the date on it?
I would have to double check on that. But our team who helped us with the build out would have insight and have that on hand and ready to.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have seen that through the build out process. Yes, I've seen that.
Okay, because it's just odd that it's not on the New York City's Department of Building website that I can see. So that would mean that it was been created in the last couple of years.
Yeah, if you'd like, I can forward that over to whoever would want to see that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we asked for it as part of the materials, so that's why you guys didn't include it. So it was absent from the materials. So that's why I'm asking, because we did ask for it.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that you should send that into our email, like where the packet went into. You should send that in.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
I'll do that. Right. Yep.
Because I looked earlier today too, and I didn't see it on the building site either.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, meaning that it probably doesn't exist. So that's why you're just saying that you've personally seen it.
Yes, I have.
Okay, because that's, so do you know, was it dated in the last couple of years, or when was it?
I let me go back to the construction team, and they have all of the materials that they submitted for build out, and I'll double check with them and forward over whatever's necessary.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm just going to look up and see if it's on the I'd like to just resolve this now, because it's
And Jilly, just so you understand, if you want to ever serve alcohol outside, you need to come back for an alteration to the license. I don't know okay, I just want to make sure you knew that. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
You bet.
So I'm looking on both the DOB Now website, and it says specifically no certificate of occupancy has been issued in DOB Now for this for the bin number. And then there are no certificates of occupancy on file for this address for the New York City Department of Buildings website.
Okay.
So, and it's zoned R6, which means that this is not an as of right allowed use. So that without any of that, and absence a letter of no objection, it's just because this has been used as a as a retail store before, doesn't mean that that's a legal use. And nothing has had to have been produced to anybody in order to have a use here in the past, because it's never been licensed.
So is the alternative like a letter of no objection, you're saying, is what you would need to see, or
right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely either the certificate of occupancy or the letter of no objection. That's what we had to, obviously submit to get through the build out process. So let me just,
Well, not necessarily if it's an alt 1 change. I mean, if it's an alt 2, you don't necessarily have to provide those, but I also don't see that there's a letter of no objection, and I'll just double check again. I don't think that there's one that's noted.
I did not see one
either on the actions. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's
because Gilly, they're going to ultimately require it at the state liquor authority. That's all.
Okay. Yeah.
And we asked for it because, you know, we know that there are times when it's not permitted.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the unfortunate result is that when, you know, if you don't have it and a complaint's made, you can't operate your business there. And that's, you know, as a business owner and having all those professionals, that falls on your shoulders. So that's why we ask at this point that you have all those materials. And it's not you know, it's certainly happened before that people did not have those in place. And it's eventually come back to bite them because of significant extra costs, you know, that they've had to incur, because generally in your lease, you're responsible for all that work to change anything. But if it's and I just asked because it's an R6 zone and there's nothing that shows that I can see that a building, you know, a business can be there. So that's why people assume that, you know, we've had missing apartments that come before us over the years, you know, where they've just taken over a space without permits in the past. And so that's why we're just asking now. And I see zero evidence anywhere that I can see of a letter of no objection or a certificate of occupancy. So.
Okay. Yeah. If I could I'm fairly confident there was discussion about all this through the process of getting the storefront up. So would I be able to just go back to the construction management company and ask them about this? And
yeah, well, I mean, I mean, is that something you can do now, or is that something you'd have to need a couple of days to do?
I can, well, you want like to call them up now?
Well, I just say, you know, one of the first things that we ask in reviewing these licenses, can you be there? And that hasn't been demonstrated. And the standing zoning precludes retail business on the ground floor, and there's no evidence of that as an allowable use. So that's just why I'm asking now, because this is really the time, you know, that we're reviewing it. And that's why we ask for it in the materials to be submitted. So.
Okay. I think, I mean, I can give them a call like through the rest of the process if that works.
That's all you can do.
Yep. Dr. Smith, did you want?
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say, Jilly, how soon do you think you could get that to us? People.
Yeah, I definitely by like the end of tonight. I mean, this meeting ends at 9:30, correct?
It ends when it ends.
It ends when it ends.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely be able to dig that up by the end of this. So I'll go ahead and get on that.
Okay, great. Anybody else from the committee? Is there anybody from the public on this application?
It's just if Jilly's going to send it in, she needs a place to send it.
She needs a place to send it. So that would be, can we access yes, we can. Info at Manhattan CB2.org. Jilly, do you have that?
Yes, I do.
You want me to put it in the chat?
That would be great.
Okay. I think I just did it right. Okay. Yeah, so if you can get that, that would be good. Either one of those, and email it in to that email address.
Okay, will do.
Okay. And if you have a problem or something, just raise your hand back up here and I'll call you back up again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
And then, oh wait, but listen, if we get this worked out and we give you stipulations, so the closing time is the closing time, and then we get you stipulations that say what kind of restaurant you are, that you're not going to be a lounge, a tavern, or a sports bar, that there is no outside seating, that there's no TVs, that the music is quiet background music, the doors and windows will be closed. It says on there that you'll provide a letter of no objection or a certificate of occupancy permitting, showing that, you know, eating and drinking is permitted. There will be no bottle service or sale of bottles of alcohol, except for bottles of wine or beer. And no dancing, DJs, live music, promoted events, any event where a cover fee is charged, scheduled performances, velvet robes, or security personnel.
Yep.
And then if, and like Bob was saying, if you want the outside at some point that you're going to come back to us, or if you change any of this, okay?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so we look forward to hearing back from you in a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next application is going to be Nijumari Inc. doing business as Marumi at 546 LaGuardia. This is a transfer restaurant wine license. If you could raise your hand.
Hello.
Hello, is it just you?
Yes, this is.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Or is your attorney Mark Fiedler? Fiedler?
What's that?
Do you have an attorney with you? A lawyer? Or no, the hand is down.
No,
okay,
no.
Right.
Me.
It's just you. Okay, go right
Yes.
ahead.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Hi. My name is Yukito from Marumi Restaurant, located at 546 LaGuardia Place. And I'm currently working at the Marumi, and the owner would like to be retired. So I took it over. And that restaurant started in 1991. And the method of operation would be the same. We were the Sunday and the weekday from 5 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. and the weekend 5 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. And we serve the traditional Japanese restaurant and do the same things. And I always will be there and to be the welcome neighbor. And we have we don't have no outside seating. Yeah, the same things we just continue.
And there's no TVs.
No TVs.
And no patrons don't use the downstairs in the basement.
No.
No. And the music is background.
Music like a iPod, just like a classic smooth jazz or something like that.
Okay, and there's no outside, there's no road bed or anything out there.
No, nothing.
And how long have you worked there?
I'm working around about 7 years there.
Okay. Lois?
Yes, very nice. Congratulations. I love the place. I hope you continue.
Thank you.
With best wishes. My question is that in the back of your restaurant, there is like a small yard or a backyard there. And I was wondering, and there's a fence there, I'm pretty sure. Could you explain how you're going to prevent people from going there or smoking out there, or do you know what I'm talking about?
No one over there. There is a road and some resident in the back, people living there.
Yes.
So they're not like relate to the restaurant. So the restaurant customer not to go over there.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it it's still fenced off there?
No, and there is sorry,
it's closed off.
Oh yeah, it's closed.
Okay, thank you.
So you can't, so you're, just to follow up with what Lois was saying, your employees don't go out to use the courtyard?
No.
No, there's no use, no garbage, no nothing is out there by your restaurant?
No, there is some resident in the back building, so maybe they use there, but we don't use that.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the committee?
And Donna, I have a question. I mean, just looking at some of the old materials that you put in there, I mean, there was an outdoor area.
Right.
And if this is a transfer application, I just want to make sure that that's not a part of the area that's moving. And it doesn't appear to be from the diagrams. And I just want to make sure that that's correct.
Outdoor? We have we don't have outdoor.
At some point in the past, the owner had come to use an outdoor area and had sought approval for it. But now you're saying that that hasn't been used. Was it ever used that you know of?
Outdoor means that in the front of the restaurant?
No, behind, I believe.
Oh, behind. Behind the space I think used to be used, but now we no use.
Okay, so you're specifically not going to be using it.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was clear because it looked like it had been used before. And then
okay.
And then also just wanted to know, just for anybody, I mean, that you did submit to us a letter of no objection because you also have an old building, but you do in fact have a letter of no objection that says that the premises can be used for an eating and drinking establishment.
No, not for me, for us.
And just with your hours, I mean, is it fair to say that all your customers are out by 11 p.m.?
11? No, more earlier.
But so your hours that you provided to us, I think, are those the last seating times, or are those?
Like the weekend, kitchen close at the normally the 10 o'clock, and close at the 10:15. And then we said, like, how can I say? I'd say the oldest, the latest customer, I'd say maybe 10:30 or something like that.
So having 11 o'clock 7 days a week would probably
no way. I mean
meaning if you have any stragglers, I'm just because you can't have people in there after you close. So I'm just putting in. I'm just saying that it's reasonable to expect that even if your kitchen closes, if you have some people sitting, whatever,
I understand that.
They're gonna, that 11's probably the latest that they would be in there.
I'd say about 5 or 6 years ago, before the restaurant closed at 10:30, and last customer go 11 p.m. or something like that. But after the pandemic, the people's lifestyle was changed. So the later time, no customer coming. So normally we close at the 10. But we'd say 10:15. It's sometimes the people come around 9:30 or something like that. It's very rush to eating. So right now, so I'd say 10:15 or 10:30, all of the customer left.
Okay.
Cormac?
Sorry, it was muted. I just want to confirm that there is no outdoor seating or shed, because I know that restaurant used to have a road bed shed. It's gone now? No shed? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Because there was one in front of it at one point.
Okay.
Okay, I think that so we'll send you a stipulation form, like I told the other applicant, that has your hours on it, and we'll say 11 p.m. It doesn't mean you have to stay open till 11 p.m., but if people are in there till 11, we just need to give you a time to make sure that all your patrons are gone by that time. Okay. And I think that does it. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
No, wait, I have to wait. I didn't go to the public. Is there anyone here from the public on this application? Yes. No? Yes, okay. Mr. Fielder, I am promoting you, so.
I am Mark Fiedler. I am Secretary of BAMRA, the Bleecker Area Merchants and Residents Association. We've asked the applicant to fill out our questionnaire, which they did. It all checks out. It looks like this is one of the best run local businesses that we know. We completely support the application.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for coming out, Mark.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I think that does it. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay. The next application is going to be Hakeem Hospitality doing business as Leon's at 817 Broadway. This is an on-premise for a restaurant in a previously unlicensed location. If you could raise your hand.
Hello, I'm Natalie.
Hello. I have, just give me 1 second to get Mr. Palillo up here.
Thank you.
Just clarifying, this is Hakeem Hospitality?
This is Hakeem Hospitality,
Thank you.
817 Broadway.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well.
Good evening.
Should I start?
Frank, who's starting? Are you still here? Or did we lose you?
I am here, and there's no reason why Natalie can't start.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. So we are moving into the space on the corner of Broadway and 12th Street at 817 Broadway, opening up a restaurant that will be open for serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We plan, the concept is an Italian seafood restaurant, so emphasis on fresh seafood, lots of vegetables, seasonally driven. I will be operating the restaurant with my partner, who is the chef. I manage the front of house operations. We plan to be open from 8 a.m. Wanted to make an adjustment to the hours that I had initially submitted in the application, because I misunderstood and included the last seating as my closing hour. So want to amend that to 12 a.m. for the closing hour. We plan on, what else can I tell you? Serving or playing background music, no live entertainment. We will not have any security on premises. And we will be 2 levels, building our kitchen, so full back of house space downstairs with our front of house dining area upstairs.
Is there any patron use of the downstairs or no?
No patron use downstairs.
Okay. And then what are you serving breakfast and lunch? Is that?
Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So I didn't see that in the packet. Okay, and then you have outdoor seating with this?
Yes, applying for sidewalk seating, not roadway seating.
All right, and you want to go through how that's set up?
A few tables, combination of 4 tops and 2 tops. Right now we have space set aside on both Broadway and 12th Street. And then just kind of marked off by, planter boxes with some sort of weather rain cover set up, but no, permanent attachment to the exterior of the building.
So it's not an open air, you're putting some kind of roof up and sides up on both 12th Street and Broadway?
Not permanent sides, just, enough coverage to protect from inclement weather.
I mean, but they're not coming down every day. If it's a nice day, they're not coming down. You're building some kind of structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're building a structure on the sidewalk?
Just, it won't be attached to the building, but it'll just be seating, like sidewalk seating with some coverage.
Natalie, this is new to me. When you say some coverage, some sort of feet coming up from the sidewalk to support an overhead?
Just like umbrella coverage. It's not going to be any sort of permanent structure.
It's going to be umbrellas.
Yes.
Well, is that what it's going to be, or is it going to be 3 sides and a roof? Because you said it was 3 sides and a roof. You didn't say an umbrella.
I said 3 sides of like planter boxes just to kind of separate the space from the street, and then umbrella coverage. So the planters wouldn't be, brought in every evening.
That's fine. I'm sure this committee is going to now ask that we stipulate to that, and we don't have any problem doing that, I presume.
So,
me, no.
Can't put things on the sidewalk.
Yeah, you can't put things on the sidewalk. And then everything's going to be next to the building and not on the curb side.
Correct.
So there's going to be the over 8 feet of clearance on the curb side.
Yes.
For people to walk by. No tables, chairs, anything next to the curb.
Correct.
No speakers.
No speakers.
Side. And okay, and then the hours. So the hours are midnight, 7 days a week?
Yes.
Frank, you know that our hours are closing hours on the application.
Of course not.
I know, but that's not what's on the application.
But that's why today, when Natalie and I had a conversation, she wasn't aware of that, and we said we'll fix it.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go to Dr. Smith.
Yeah, Natalie, are you the proprietor?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
That's it?
No,
okay, Cormac?
Yeah, I just want to check about the, inquire a little further on this outdoor seating on the 12th Street side. I mean, the Broadway side is very wide. 12th Street has a bump out at the corner, but then it cuts in for a traffic lane. And on your diagram, you're showing 4 tops on that side. How deep is that sidewalk? Because I'm not clear on how there can be 8 feet and a 4 top. Have you measured the sidewalk?
My architect did when he blocked that area off for me. I mean, I believe he did. I asked him to block that area for me. So I don't know off the top of my head what that exact measurement is.
Okay, well, yeah, I would just be careful about it because I know that your neighbor along 12th Street behind where you're going, Ribalta,
yeah,
out tables with umbrellas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are frequently actually in violation of how far they're supposed to be. So it's not a good model, if that's what you're following. Just make sure you're leaving the full 8 feet. That's what I want to.
Okay.
It's nice to see you, Mr. Flynn.
It's nice to see you, Frank. And you look relaxed.
It's been a while.
Brian, who is a member of our SLA2 committee. Thank you for joining.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the presentation, Natalie. I see you have a lot of very fine dimensions on your floor plan, and that's all very good. I noted that you said 14 bar stools, and I counted 13, although maybe there's room for 14, which is okay. And then there's 4 across the aisle, just some sort of a maybe bar seating, but it's not actually it's not a serving bar. Is that, how is that counted in your seating?
Yes, so we had 4 bar seats along a drink rail just across from the bar, or like behind those who would be seated at the bar. We have now dropped that to 4 low seats, so diners can sit, at a normal table height in the bar area, but not at bar height, just behind the bar guests.
Okay, all right. So as far as the outside seating is concerned, I think following up on some of the other questions, you have some very detailed dimensions on what is allowable out at the curb or in the parking space.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sketch in some tabletops that are just kind of scattered around the sidewalk without, it would seem, without any attempt to show the actual scale or location of those tables. Is that correct? It was just to enumerate them?
Yes, this was our, just first presentation to you, the community board, of number of seats that we would be able to fit in our sidewalk seating. They're obviously not drawn to the scale that the rest of that drawing is at.
Okay, so the stipulations that talk about being right next to the building wall and the clear spaces and so forth, that will take care of the details for you? Is that what you thought?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Brian, can I just add 2 things, if you don't mind?
Sure.
The 14 bar stools, there's one for a wheelchair, and I count that as a bar stool. So that's what the 13 goes to 14. And as Carter and the committee probably knows, the liquor authority doesn't have us report the outdoor seating. So yeah, you're right about the scale and everything. That's me. That's my drawing. It's my bad.
All right. Thank you, Frank.
And I'm just going to add on, Frank, though, that we do ask you to do it. Our addendum asks for the seating, the obstructions, where the chairs are, the width of the areas, and everything else. So I think that's part of why Brian is asking that.
No argument for me. I don't argue with Brian.
Okay, good.
It's happening. I'll argue with
Carter?
hands up.
Carter.
Yeah, so I was just following up on the same thing, because the diagram isn't really reflective of the on the ground situation, it seems, particularly on 12th Street, as Cormac pointed out, where there's a new bump out to a neck down so that the pedestrians crossing is safer at the intersection, but it's narrower further in, and that's not reflected. And I was just wondering if you can just tell us how the tables and chairs on Broadway are going to fit in. Like, where are those 2 tops and 4 tops going to go?
On Broadway or on 12th Street? Sorry.
Well, starting with Broadway, just how you'll fit those 4 2 tops and the 1 4 top in there.
Well, I mean, we'll have the first row of 2 tops, as close to the side of the building as possible, and then the next row just a couple inches away, as we are accustomed to doing in our small New York restaurants. So they'll be close together, and we're aware of the 8 foot of passageway that's required. They also will be flexible into 4 top tables. So sometimes, the 2 side by side 2 tops might be pushed together as 4s. And then same goes for that 4 top. We'll have it, arranged in that diamond shape. I mean, I don't have the physical tables in my hands to be able to try that out street side just now. But if we're not able to get the 8 feet of passageway, then, that 4 top as a diamond may not be possible. And then
and that would be where, at the corner column?
Before.
So that's right in the intersection. And then, do you know, does the parking meter count as an obstruction?
I'm not aware of that. I don't know.
because that would be where your 8 feet is measured from, and that's right in front of those tables. So that's why, as we're reviewing it, I don't know if the parking meter counts or not under the temporary program. It most likely will, but we don't know because we haven't seen anything under the permanent program. But that's why people are asking these questions. And just to Cormac's point, on 12th Street, you know, you have the columns going down, and I'm not sure how that impacts. There's a sign there that's right on the corner. So this sort of has, on a busy intersection, these are all the qualities that we end up getting complaints about later with respect to pedestrian clearance, et cetera. And when we don't have the more detailed plans to scale, it makes it very difficult for us to review it. Nobody's saying yes or no, but it's unknown, and it could have been known.
Yeah.
And so that's the challenge.
Well,
Carter, in the corner locations.
Natalie, why don't you provide it to us?
Sure, I can do.
I mean, you got to make a measurement of that sidewalk. You got to provide us the measurement of the sidewalk and where you're going to put the seats. It's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think that resolves a lot of the questions that are being posed here tonight. Trying to do this ad hoc manner is not going to help. We need an actual drawing on both streets. Okay.
That wouldn't take long to do, Natalie, right?
Yeah, I could get that tomorrow. I could follow up.
And measure the sidewalks. We want to know the depth of the sidewalks. We want to know the depth of the sidewalk from any obstructions, and where you're going to put the chairs and the tables, and how much out you're going to go from the building to do that. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Including service area.
Like a service station, you mean?
No, service stations aren't allowed outside, but you know, if your servers are all coming into that 8 feet by a foot, you don't have 8 feet. If the table butted up next to, you know, with 6 inches between them, they're not serving them between the tables.
Got it.
And you also have an unusual condition there with a manhole on the sidewalk, you know, and that's like, you know, Frank knows this is very unusual that you have that, but we don't know where that stuff plays out. But it's good for you to know, because those are the things that in the current program is not going to be the same as the permanent.
Carter, there's a manhole on the sidewalk?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. Never saw that.
Anybody else from the committee have anything? And I will go to the public on this one. Augustine, I am promoting you.
Am I up?
Hello, you're here. Go ahead.
Okay. Augustine Hope, West Village Residents Association. Natalie did reach out to us, and I was very late getting back to her, but I did on Saturday. I haven't heard back. But I think you answered most of my questions about the outside, but not all of them. Natalie did bring up Anton's, so I'm going to talk to Anton's, because Anton's is her other restaurant, and it's on Hudson Street in our neighborhood. And I like Anton's. I've eaten there several times, but they're a little bit overexpanded on the sidewalk. They've got curbside tables, which I believe is not allowed under city regs. They've taken over more than 50% of the sidewalk because of their planters. They've pushed right out into the sidewalk, which again, I don't think is allowed under city regs. And I think this is pertinent to the discussion as what is going to be covering the outdoor seating area at Leon. At Anton's, they have a framed out structure with a plastic corrugated roof. And I don't believe any structures are allowed on the sidewalks. And I think they probably should be going back to what was always there before, which was awnings. Which is appropriate to a historic neighborhood. So I guess my question to them, if you could ask it, Donna, is this A, reflecting what's going to happen on Broadway and 12th? And B, when do they intend to come into compliance on Hudson Street? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Augustine.
And if we could just get clarification on the address on Hudson Street, please. I don't know, Natalie, maybe you could tell us what the address is.
Yeah, it's 570 Hudson Street.
Thank you.
I am the manager at Anton's at 570 Hudson Street. So I am not an owner on or listed on the liquor license over there. We have a sidewalk cafe license, I do know, at Anton's.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not currently because of the COVID regulations. And we, during COVID, the ownership built the covered roof over the outdoor seating.
So I guess, let me ask my questions. When are you going to get rid of the chairs that are on the curbside of the sidewalk over there? Because that's not legal. I mean,
she's not the owner, Donna.
She is managing the place, so
she can take this to Anton's ownership and express your concerns. It's legitimate concerns. I just don't want to put her in a position. She can't bind the company.
Right. So we're all well aware that that's not the proper way that the seating should happen, right? And
Okay.
and that when you say umbrellas to us, do you mean actual umbrellas with the stand that goes in between the seats, or do you mean poles more like what's at Anton's that are stuck in to the border that goes around, which seemed to be what you initially described, but then you said umbrellas. So I just would like to have a clear understanding of how you're protecting against the weather in the outdoor area.
When we are talking about 817 Broadway, we are talking about umbrellas that can be taken down at night.
Okay. And there won't be any service station out there like there, I believe there is at Anton's.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else from the public here on this application? I see no one. Does anybody from the committee have anything further? No. Okay, so you're going to get us the measurements tomorrow of the sidewalk with a clear idea of where these tables are fitting.
Yep.
The clear space and everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, and the hours are 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week.
Yeah.
For the interior and the exterior, what time are your closing hours on the exterior? 10 p.m. or?
10 p.m. is what CB2, that's the regulation, correct?
So that's what we ask of people, yes.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes. Go ahead, Augustine.
In the email that Natalie sent around, she says, Nick and I opened Anton's in November 2019. Nick, I think, is partner and husband. Does Nick own Anton's?
He is an owner of Anton's.
Okay.
So, and does he have anything to do with this Broadway location?
He's the chef.
He has no ownership interest in your Broadway location.
He will have ownership in the LLC.
So these are two related businesses.
Wait a minute. Nick's gonna have ownership in the LLC?
Based on.
And that's fine. I just didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I go back to my previous question. Can we, when will you, will Nick come into compliance? Thank you.
We're not going to do the back and forth, but I think we get the point of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Donna, can I just mention?
Yeah.
Natalie, can you have Nick talk to his partners? This is a problem that neighbors have, and we should move to correct it.
Yeah, about the Anton's outdoor seating.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, about having seats in the amenity zone where it's been very clear from day one of this pandemic, all the seating, every regulation, no matter how much it's changed, evolved, not been clear or anything else. One thing that has been completely 100% clear is there is not to be a table, a chair, an umbrella, a sandwich board, or anything on the curbside so that people can actually walk down the sidewalk that need to walk down the sidewalk. That has not changed from day one.
Okay.
She's not arguing with you, Donna.
No, I'm just, but this is like, this is my pet peeve. This has been from day one. It's been very clear, and it shouldn't be there. It just shouldn't be there. And especially now that the pandemic is over and everybody can eat inside, there is no reason for any more chairs to be outside than are permitted to be outside. If you need more outdoor seating, there needs to be a bigger restaurant with more sidewalk space so that you can have the appropriate outdoor seating that everybody wants.
Would you, Natalie, please pass on the committee's concerns about the outdoor seating?
I will.
And I just to Donna's point, we had a picture that was submitted to us from today, which it's not just the seating in the amenity zone. It shows a structure which is attached to the building and not legal. Shows a bus station outside on wheels that's not legal. It shows plantings on the outside of the structure on the sidewalk side.
I just want to clarify that the structure is not attached to the building.
Okay, but that doesn't make it any better. It's a structure that's obstructing the sidewalk there with the roof. And if it's freestanding and it's not attached to the sidewalk, then that means you can just pick it up and move it. And that's probably not the case. I haven't been there, but that's it can't be attached to anything, which is why, and you don't have a DOB permit for it. It's on the sidewalk. So, but just, this is our point. You're defending what is known not to be in any diagrams that are provided by the Department of Transportation. And that's why there are concerns about your future restaurant and compliance in advance. And that is a part of the review process, and the public interest, is looking at that. And there's a supervisorial capacity in your other location that's also up for discussion, because even though it is the ownership there. So these issues are all tied together, and this is, again, as time marches on, these are the strings that you get held back by, is what's may have been okay and not looked at, but now as we move forward, obviously neighbors in the other location are complaining about it, and so that becomes a part of the discussion point, and that's
noted.
Okay, I think that does it. Anybody else from the committee? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, the next application is going to be Night Owl Comedy LLC, doing business as Comedy Cellar at 136 West 3rd. If you could raise your hand. Do I have everybody? I think Noam, Benjamin, Elizabeth. Is that it?
Yes, that's it. Well, we actually have somebody else who might join, but we can start.
I think we can get started without them.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin Korngut. I'm the attorney for Night Owl Comedy LLC. This is an application for an on-premises liquor license at 136 West 3rd Street. I have with me tonight Noam Dwarman and Elizabeth Fioriotti, who are the two principals of the applicant. Noam is the owner of the Comedy Cellar around the corner from this location on MacDougal Street, as well as the Village Underground, which is next door, and what was formerly known as the Fat Black Pussycat. If you recall, everyone on the committee, we appeared at a meeting in November for a location at 118 West 3rd Street, which is just down the block. We agreed to all the stipulations, which I think you guys have related to closing times and hours. And since then, there's been some what we hope you think are going to be exciting developments. Noam was fortunate enough to buy the building, which at 136 West 3rd, which was formerly occupied by McDonald's. So he's no longer pursuing the project at 118. And now he's focused his attention on, what we think for a lot of reasons is a superior location. And just to Noam could kind of talk about it because this is his baby, but just to give you a few of the benefits of this location is there's no residents in this building. So it's just going to be this location. It's adjacent to a park on one side. So there's no residents on that side, obviously. And furthermore, this location, since it closed, has certainly been an eyesore on the block. And even while it was open, it was a really, I'm sure everyone in the neighborhood knows, it was kind of a problematic location. As a McDonald's, it was a big source of crime and violence, and there were just kind of generally bad things going on there. And Noam was really excited to be able to bring this into the Comedy Cellar family. He has, as Noam alluded to, the people we were hoping to join are the designers of this project. So Noam has engaged, they're called Charcoal Blue, and they're one of the leading venue design companies in the world. And Noam can talk a little bit more about the project, but they've been involved. We included some of their other projects throughout the world. Just in New York alone, they're currently working on the Perlman Center, which is down in the New World Trade Center, which is going to be a new exciting location, and they're going to bring kind of their magic to this location. Noam, do you want to talk a little bit more about the project and how it all came about?
Well, yeah, well, how it came about was like basically 48 hours before we were about to finalize the deal at the Japanese restaurant that the community board approved. I did one last check to see what was going on with that McDonald's, which has supposedly been sold 2 years prior. And they told me, well, actually, we're about to put it back on the market. So, and everything worked out, and I was able to get the building. It's the biggest project I've ever undertaken, but I'm hoping that the neighborhood will be happy about it, considering what a horrible McDonald's it was. And, you guys were actually very nice to me to allow me what you did at that Japanese restaurant. And, I said at the time that I acknowledged that the lines and stuff there were problematic, and we would, in good faith, do everything we could to alleviate it. But this, I think, really ends that problem because it's all the way at the end of 6th Avenue there, which is kind of a almost a deserted corner all the time. We have the full support of our tenants next door and the Minetta Street Block Association and all the people who've always supported us. And we're this Charcoal Blue company. I mean, they're the best there is going to be something beautiful there, something hopefully that my grandkids will be proud to own as a village, as a village institution. It's really something really special in Greenwich Village. That's what I'm hoping.
Great. Is that it? Sounds
well. And if take any questions, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, I think
in terms of like kind of the nuts and bolts, the hours, everything, we put 4 a.m. in the application, which is what we put in the one at 118, but we're more than willing to agree to the same stipulations that we agreed to for 118, which was, 1 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then 2 a.m. on the weekends, with the asterisks that, if a well-known comedian or, basically someone famous is performing, Noam's not going to kick them off the stage, but that's going to be kind of a rare occurrence.
Yeah. In every way, except that this place, it's actually not that much bigger as you would think than the other place. It's just much more of a rectangle, but in every way, it's exactly the identical thing that I wanted to do there, except it's going to be just much, much nicer.
Are you still, last time when you were here, there was a whole thing about having some reservation system. Are you still, you were doing?
Yeah, we actually,
because I think it was because of the location. So I was just do you think you're going to do something like that here, or it won't be necessary here?
Yeah, we're halfway through. Liz knows what I've been going through. Liz is there. It may not be the same configuration on your screen, but she's our GM. She will also be a partner here, as she was going to be in the other one. We got the QR codes actually in the last few weeks up and running, and it has speeded things up a bit. We still don't have the seating chart the way it's supposed to be. And I don't know, our programmer has been really letting us down in a way that he never has before in terms of being timely. I just had to Zoom with him, but yes, we will. I love to do these things even without the problems that come up, because I always want to be cutting edge, and I get jealous when I see how the airlines are so efficient and everything. So yes, we're doing all that. However, we really don't expect any crowds to exacerbate the situation that is there, as the Japanese restaurant would have, even though we would have done everything to minimize it. There was no way, to bring all those extra people in without somebody noticing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this will really not even be noticed in any real sense, because so few people walk on that part of 6th Avenue between 3rd Street South.
Or it'll be noticed as something good and an improvement that's happened there. Okay, and then there's patron occupancy of the cellar for bathrooms, or?
I'm sorry?
Do the patrons use the cellar for bathrooms? Is that, or?
No, we're going to have, in the new place that's coming up?
Yep.
No,
Yep.
everything will be contained. There would be bathrooms, and it'll be a solely self-contained thing with it'll be seating on the ground floor. We're going to have one row of mezzanine, like a balcony, like a lean over thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kitchen, hopefully, and the bathroom, and either the accessible toilet will be on the ground floor, or there'll be some sort of chairlift to the basement. That's what we're looking
So
at.
the only reason there would be no service of alcohol in the cellar space or anything. If patrons
No.
It's just to use the bathrooms, and that's it.
Absolutely not. And no stand-up bar. And no, we're not doing any kind of bar business, nothing like that.
Right. Okay, I think, basically I have all the stipulations from the last time you were here. So, Carter?
So this is exciting news. Just so everybody knows, Noam and I had talked about this a couple months ago. Just he had told me he was looking at the space, and it's great to see it come to fruition. A couple questions. So the orientation of the stage is on the west side of the building. Is that correct?
No, the orientation of the stage will be on the south side of the building, right?
So
no, on the west side, on the 6th Avenue wall.
Or right, that's 6th
Oh,
Avenue.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I got turned on. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, on the west side.
All right.
Yeah.
And so, right now on that ground floor, just what this leading to, are you going to be changing sort of the ground floor facade that had been there for McDonald's, meaning that entrance is moving and all that?
But yeah,
stuff?
as I understand it, the actual entrance, because we need 2 means of egress for this, so the entrance will move to either side of the place, one on the east side and one on the west side.
And then what is there going to be windows there on the ground floor? And that's sort of what I'm.
Well, listen, we haven't decided that, and we're not particular. I'm leaning. My gut is to brick the whole thing up, because windows and light and noise are not good for comedy. I've had some people suggest that we should have some sort of a system which would close that, but allow it to open in case there was some other thing that wanted to go in on there. But that's not my inclination. I don't want really any light or anything coming in.
Yeah, I was just asking because of distraction, right? Not just the distraction inside, but to the outside, because meaning that people are standing around looking in the windows, and with the McDonald's space, it was just hard to. It wasn't clear to me what changes you'd be doing to the facade. So that I think that answers my question. You're probably more concerned about the stuff on the inside than my concerns, which are the people on the outside. And then the second thing is, we talked a lot about the lines. So the lines would be going around to the west, and then over towards 6th, and then going south, right? And hopefully this new system will speed it up enough that it really reduces the amount of time that line would ever get to full capacity.
Absolutely.
And it sounds very exciting, and it's also, I think, and just like I said before, I think it's an important accommodation. If they're well-known, people coming, staying open later. I mean, that's an important part of what you've created over the years. And I think that that's unique here. And I just wanted to speak to that because I think that that's what makes, sort of ties together the full essence of comedy in New York, which seems to have really been moving around here. There've been a lot of problems, it seems, with some of the other comedy clubs over the years. And so the fact that you're expanding this concept and taking over what has become a problem area is really exciting. And it seems like it's a much, much better fit. And then in keeping with your other businesses. So I just thought I'd say that. It's much shorter than the conversation we had last time, but just sort of encapsulate it and make sure that that people sort of take that into account. Thanks.
I very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Cormac?
Yeah, and I apologize, I don't think I was here during the epic discussion of the Japanese place up the street at 118. And so I know a lot of work was done on lines. I'm just going to raise my one concern, which is about pickups and drop-offs, because the location does front on a bike lane. That is not like it's a dedicated bike lane, but it's not a protected bike lane. And I am a little bit concerned about the bike lane not being essentially obstructed much of the time or something like that. Now, clearly with the lines, you're not anticipating crowds spilling into off the sidewalk, but is there an issue about people being picked up or dropped off, particularly when you talk about VIPs coming to give performances?
Well, it's not, you'd be surprised. I'll get to the first thing second, but you'd be surprised at the VIPs we get, like Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and John Mayer. They don't show up with any kind of posse or limousines or anything. They just walk down the street. You'd be very, I think, pleasantly surprised how ordinary they carry themselves. But Liz, that's a good question. What happens since these bike lanes? What happens when people drop? The taxis stop in the bike lane a lot?
No, I mean, just based on the traffic patterns on 3rd Street, it's my experience that most people are dropped off and picked up on the north side of the street, either in front of the Blue Note because they have those dedicated spots, or further down the block in front of those basketball cages because there is a fire hydrant there. So just in my experience day to day, that is where I would say 99% of drop-offs and pickups do happen.
So let me also add, my lawyer might advise me against saying this, but I'll tell you that I'm quite concerned about these things because it's not 100% clear to me that I wouldn't have some liability if something bad were to happen there. So you shouldn't think that I'm not very personally motivated to worry about exactly what you're speaking about. And I do think about that from time to time with the crowd and making sure, like, we spend a lot of money on these new stanchions now, and we move them off whenever there's no show. I just don't want anybody tripping. I don't want my fingerprints on anything bad that happens to anybody on planet Earth if I can help it. So we take all this stuff seriously. And obviously, when you're dealing with crowds, I can't make any guarantees except that we take this stuff very seriously,
Okay. Thank you.
I'll just also add, like, we do also run all of our lines closer to the buildings, and we are very cognizant of making sure that we try to make sure that no one's in the street, in the bike lane, because as we all know, those bike lanes are pretty dangerous. And the way that delivery drivers drive, it's pretty scary. So we are very cognizant of that for the safety of our patrons.
I'll also add that right now, and for a while, there's been that big scaffolding in front of the garage, which has really exacerbated the bottleneck. But I imagine that's going to come down at some point, and that will really change what feels like a very bottlenecked sidewalk. There is actually more room on that sidewalk than you'd think, but nobody can walk because of the columns of that scaffolding.
Can I ask another quick question, or should I let other people go first?
Just go ahead go ahead, Cormac.
What is going to be the capacity of the new space?
Well, I would like it to be 200.
Okay.
Which is the limit, I think, of what any place can be, regardless of size.
It's fine. I'm just trying to imagine how big the wall of people around the park will be. It won't necessarily go all the way to the next street up. So, okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Smith?
Yeah, Norm, I tell you, you don't own that black pussycat, do you?
I own the, I'm the, yeah, I'm the owner. Yes, yeah.
Well, I can never walk on that side of the sidewalk, but that's not here nor there right now. But here's my question for you for this going into the old McDonald's space. When you say you have two entrances, can you be a bit more specific? And do you also know the hours of operation for that kiddie park?
The park, well, okay. So the first question first, if you looking at the McDonald's place from 3rd Street, on the very far left side of the building, there would be an entrance. On the very far right side of the building, there would be an entrance because you need the maximum distances between the two entrances. Oh, here's Kate. She's from Charcoal Blue. In order to meet the code requirements. The park, we're generally open after dark, except maybe in the summertime. Sometimes we have a 6 o'clock show. So Liz, are we ever open when the park is open?
No, that park I think closes at dusk.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so
It's
I think
a playground.
Right. So,
yeah, so I think they're required to close at dusk. So the time is going to change throughout the year, depending on what time the sun goes down. But
and also let me add that the first show is a show we will never have a line for because there's no prior show. So at even if the park were open, you would not have any crowds. People just walk right in because it's we just open the doors. It's only
what time is the first show?
Well, on next door, our first show is at 6. So it'll either be 6:15, something like that. We don't want them at exactly the same time. So something around then. On that would only be on Friday and Saturday. During the week, it would be later.
So, but you're not going to have an entrance on the same side as the park, or will you?
No, we're going to be on West 3rd Street. Yeah.
No.
That was my question.
The park entrance is fairly far down.
I know where the park entrance is.
We live there.
I was asking about this application and where the entrances were.
No, a lot of people have actually asked me the same question. But
Yeah.
no, there's no entrance through the playground or anything like that.
Thank you.
Only
That's
on
my
3rd Street.
question.
Yeah.
Brian?
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, I'm on the committee.
Okay, sorry. I'm going across who raised their hands. Lois, go ahead. Brian, you'll go last.
Yes, I'm concerned about the children. It's a playground. And I'd like to know where are your lines going to go? Like West 3rd and then around to 6th Avenue? Is that what you were saying? No. And hi, Noam.
Hi,
How are
Lois.
you?
on 6th Avenue, yes, but not when the playground is open.
Well, the playground closes at dusk. And that could be like in the evening now. It could go as much as 7 p.m. or 8. And my concern is gawking, that your patrons and matrons are going to be gawking at the children. And the children, they're kind of like caged animals, and they are going to be talking with your clientele. And I'm very uncomfortable with that. So can you address that situation?
Absolutely. And that's actually a good point. I have young kids. So as I try, the first show, we should have no line. So because there's no reason for anybody to stand outside. The only reason we ever have a line is because people show up early and we can't let them in because there's something already going on. So any show that would be starting around dusk would be able to not have any crowd whatsoever. That's the long and short of the answer. Liz, you agree with that, Liz?
100%, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
My second question is access to the bathroom. Your first show is like at 6, and you're allowing your customers to come in before 6 p.m.?
Yeah, we'll open the doors at 5, let's say.
At 5. Okay. Yeah. So as well as I do, about people that are not your customers wanting to use the bathroom, with the exception of maybe a child and the mommy and the daddy and the parents, because there's no bathroom there. at the playground. But how are you going to prevent? That was a big problem with McDonald's.
Yeah.
So how are you going to prevent that from happening?
Well, I can tell you a few things. First of all, we don't have that issue at the places we have right next door because it's perceived as a nightclub, and so people don't think it's that kind of place like a Starbucks or a fast food place where you can just go in and use the bathroom. We do. Sometimes somebody comes, like you said, with their kid or somebody, it really seems distressed. I say, of course, go use the bathroom. But we don't have, that has not been an issue. It's just not that, it doesn't look welcoming for somebody to just use, like there's a 7-Eleven across the street and there's other places, that's where they go.
No bathroom.
No.
There's no bathroom at 7-Eleven.
Oh, whatever.
So,
yeah.
Or the basketball.
Of all the questions, I leave myself wiggle room. I'm going to guarantee you that the bathroom will not be a problem for people trying to use the bathroom. It's just not been an issue.
So just
good. And now,
just so you know what we do, because it's New York and people will always ask everywhere to use the restroom.
Yes.
We are very cognizant, and we say that what's really happening. It's a ticketed event. There's a show going on, and we apologize that unfortunately we just can't have people coming in and out of the room. Yeah. So we really don't use those restrooms for any sort of public type of people.
Now my question is about, I think Carter brought it up, or you brought it up, you might consider bricking off the wall, because I'm concerned about the windows in the front on West 3rd Street. Are you using curtains, or what are you going to do?
So when we're doing comedy shows, we will have to make sure that those windows are covered, either in some slick professional way that can then be opened if we wanted to have light in there for some reason, or we'll just decide to brick them up. But we are not going to in any way cause any nuisance outside that place to anybody, not to a person walking on the street, not to a tenant, not to anybody next door, nobody. Comedy is a pretty quiet thing, and we're good at this.
And your lighting, the outdoor lighting and signage, you have any ideas?
Well, I'd like a nice prominent sign for my theater. I can't lie, but it'll be, to code. I'm certainly want to listen to what you guys object to and accommodate that, and if I can.
Well, it's landmarked.
No, it's not.
So you have to go. That area is not landmarked?
No.
Okay, well, maybe Brian knows that better than I. And my last point is, I want to tell you that I pass this every day, night and day. I go to the opera, I'm coming home late. Your, whatever you want to call them, bouncers are wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
They are accommodating. They allow me and others to walk down the street. They tell your people on the line to move away, or they are really very respectful. And it's a pleasure sometimes to say hi to them and thank you. You have good people working for you.
That is such music to my ears, because Liz knows what we've been through in the last year to try to make that so, because we've had some problems actually in that very regard. Yes. And I really think we worked very hard to change that. And I can't be happier than to hear that.
And it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Lois.
Okay. From BAMRA. I'm from BAMRA.
I know. I was chairman of BAMRA for a while.
I know. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Carter?
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the whole windows thing. I because I didn't explain, I would not want to see that be bricked up. I think that having something that open and closes, I know your designers here, I mean, that's not a good feeling. And it's certainly not what we want to bring back to that area. It's currently crazy, it doesn't feel good. So engagement is important, but not during the shows, right? Because you don't want people standing around outside looking in, which I think is that was more the genesis of my concern. And I was also wondering if you would, and this could be more of a handshake agreement type thing, but take care of that stretch of West 3rd between the corner and your place. Like, you know, if it's just having your porter sweep it, whatever, because,
Deal.
you know, this is really a good opportunity to change the character there. And I think as far as what I'm talking about, just getting that cleaned up and just having a better feel on a day-to-day basis, you know, makes it feel much, much better. And I think with your designer just figuring out a way to better engage, since I didn't realize it wasn't landmarked, with that whole area in a way that's opening, inviting, because it does become an entryway into, you know, the whole MacDougal area, because West 3rd, for anybody who's walking, coming off the subway, even, you know, it's not by people driving or anything by any means, but that is an important feel. I know you know that. I'm just articulating it because I would hate to see a brick wall, you know, sort of closing off that space in that way, and unless there's a design element that keeps it.
No, the designers. I speak for Kate. Yeah, go ahead, Kate. Because she doesn't want it bricked. Go ahead, Kate.
No, well, actually, I think it's a balance, and we definitely want to study it in terms of. I actually totally agree with you. We want to make sure it feels welcoming and it feels inviting, and we don't lose the sight of the character of it. But I think, you know, there's a balance to say we don't, in show mode, obviously we want to keep it dark and privacy for the performers as well as outside. But actually there's also a balance acoustically. You know, we really need to test what the actual facade is right now to ensure that, you know, we're both not getting outside noise coming in and inside noise going out. So I think there's a whole journey to go on to make sure that facade works, both how it looks, but how it functions for the space too.
And Kate, I'm sorry, we haven't met yet. My name is Ben Korngut. I'm the attorney that's working on it. But before you joined, I gave a little introduction about charcoal blue. But while we have you on and everyone from the committee, can you just tell us a little bit about, you know, yourself, your company, like what you guys do, what you specialize in?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're theatre and acoustic consultants. So we work on a huge variety of performance spaces across the world, and primarily my team here in the US work on the East Coast spaces. And you know, my day-to-day job is looking and designing at performance spaces and really ensuring that the success of the architecture and the success of the experience is at the forefront of the community and the people that use it. And that is by looking at the design of the auditorium, the seating, the experience, really ensuring that, you know, your people feel comfortable going there, but also, you know, it is the highest technology, state of the art, and it meets the codes from accessibility, and also, you know, really thinking beyond, you know, where we're going in the future. And as I mentioned, obviously acoustics too. So it's really ensuring the best building is created for the people using it and the community who want to come in it and walk by it. So really, you know, I think our role is really critical to ensuring we hear what your wishes and needs are, and also what gnomes are, and the team there, and really helping architecturally that come to life. I hope that answers some questions.
So yeah, and by the way, I'll tell the board publicly, I'm so lucky to have met Charcoal Blue. You don't know how great these people are. I really feel so lucky about that. And yes, Carter, I absolutely will keep that area of the street clean. Liz, we should be doing that already. Actually, I don't know if we are or we aren't, but if we're not, we should start now.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You know, when I came with the Japanese restaurant, I was, again, I thought the board was extremely nice to me, because I did understand and could put myself in the shoes of someone who lived there and not wanting another place there. And I thought it was very nice that they approved it anyway. But I really feel at the McDonald's here that we should all actually be all happy together that I think this is a great change for that particular location, and it's probably better than any other thing you could imagine being successful there anyway, a fast food place or a dispensary or a Raucous bar. I mean, what else are you going to put on that corner there? So I think we're all on the same side of this, I'm hoping anyway. And also I'll say one other corny thing, because I own this building, I have a much longer timeline about it. I literally imagine it there after I'm gone, and my kids having it and being proud, and that's Dad's thing. And he, you know, so it's quite a labor of love that I'm about to undertake. And I think that will be reflected in what you see when it's done.
And I two more things. One, the building was built as a McDonald's, correct? Yeah. So that's, which is very unusual, I think, for most people on the committee to realize. It's not a repurpose, it's being repurposed to something else, but it's very unusual for us in our community to have something built as a fast food establishment. And then second, I just want to point out, which I remembered from the last time, that Noam actually used to serve on this committee when he was on the community board, in addition to being head of BAMRA. So thank you.
I remember that as well. Okay. Donna, will you
go ahead? Go ahead.
Now, may I just get a better understanding of where this line is going to go? Did you say it's going to go on 6th Avenue? Will it go toward Houston, or will it go toward Westport?
Towards Houston.
Okay. Do you understand and know that there's a bus stop right there?
Yeah, if we have to pause the line and start it again at the bus stop, that I haven't, be honest, I haven't fully looked into those logistics, and that's what we'll do.
Just a very narrow sidewalk there.
Right in that one spot there. We'll figure that out.
Well, I just know that I don't walk on the side of that sidewalk because of your other bar, but and so I think I'm very concerned too that people need to be able to walk. They need to be able to go on wheelchairs and that kind of thing. And I see your places having a whole lot of lines with a lot of noise, but hopefully I will be disappointed.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make sure I can give you my phone number, and I want to make a believer out of you. I mean, we are going to have crowds, and I can't promise the world, but I really don't think this place is going to bother you. I think our other places will continue to improve, but I think this one is really going to be mostly unnoticed.
I'm going to hold you to that, but
okay.
I don't have the phone number, but I will hold you to that. Okay. I don't have to get in touch with you if I need. Okay.
I can put it in the chat, or it's easy to get my
number.
Okay,
that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, just in terms of what other businesses do you own on that block, specifically that particular block on that side?
So we own, next to us is the 3 Sheets Saloon, which is not ours. And then we own the places at 130 West 3rd Street, which is an upstairs and downstairs, which have comedy. The Village Underground and the Fat Black Pussycat are the names of the places, but they're really just become performance spaces booked by the Comedy Cellar.
And both of those locations in that building are comedy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I just want to make sure. Okay. Thank you.
Brian.
Okay, thank you for the discussion and all the points you made. And when I went by there yesterday, I saw the workmen clearing out the place and getting ready for the new construction. Of course, it's always going to be funny to have a name of a place called Comedy Cellar when you don't have comedy in the cellar, but that's probably a plus for you. I noticed just a couple of comments on the discussion that was held tonight when you were talking about requiring 2 entrances, and that's not quite the right terminology. You can have just 1 entrance, but it's the egress, the exits that are required to be separated and more than 1. And you provide that. The diagrams on your floor plans show the distance of travel. It's all very good and right up to code, I believe. And then I was looking for your bathrooms. I noticed that all your bathrooms are ADA accessible, and there are none on the main floor. So then I finally found, it's a kind of a small print, that you have a handicapped lift, which again, that's old terminology and not really proper anymore. So you might, for Mr. Carmen to change that nomenclature.
Okay.
But it looks like you have a lift that goes from the main floor down to the cellar so that your patrons can access an ADA men's and women's and maybe unisex bathrooms. So that seems to be up to snuff. And I think that other than that, I would also concur that the windows should not be bricked up, but there are plenty of ways to soundproof them, have them light proof and all the rest of that without disturbing the architecture. And by the way, you are in the historic district. It's not the Greenwich Village Historic District. It is the South Village Historic District, the extension, which means that you may be coming before the Landmarks Committee, and we can discuss those windows and so forth.
Okay,
all my comments. So thank you.
That's an interesting question, because I'd been told by the architects and the expediter that I was not landmarked, and it's funny because when I first was about to get the building, I assumed I was, and this was just presented to me. Actually, no, you're not. But whatever it is, it is. If it is, then you know. The truth is, it's not like it's probably cheaper not to brick to leave the windows open. I
well, yes,
yeah,
yeah, right. So just again, it's don't want to nitpick about the terminology. Yeah. Your building is not landmarked. It is simply in a historic district.
I see. Now
so there's certain standards that would apply to every building on the block and all around the. So
I wasn't aware of that.
Singular.
Okay.
That's all I got. Thanks, and congratulations and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you very much, sir.
Anybody else from the committee have anything?
I was just going to say, Brian, I just looked up on Zola and it's not marked as being in the historic districts. Buildings further east are on West 3rd, but this building isn't listed on Zola.
Honestly, Carter, whether it is or isn't, if you guys are all of the opinion that you'd prefer to see a certain more welcoming look to the facade, then that's what we'll do. This is not something I'm resisting. So.
Oh, no, I was just referring to revisit it, where it would be presented in front of the board.
Yeah.
Cormac?
Yeah, I just whoa, no, don't leap to conclusions. Individuals have expressed their opinions about the facades. It's not necessarily an opinion of the entire committee. Okay. I personally would not want to, handcuff the architect in any way in trying to keep windows. I don't think it's distinguished architecture that needs to be kept. Bricked up fronts and interesting things to be done with fronts that do not involve windows. So I just want to go on record with that, since you were saying.
I think the neighborhood would not like to see it look bleak, like the outside of a horrible building or something. So we're going to make it look nice.
Does not design bleak. Yeah. Urban blight buildings. So
yeah. And we don't want to create a whole canvas for graffiti out there. So there's many reasons that we don't want to have just a bleak black brick building.
Okay, I'm going to see if there's anybody here from the public on this one now. If there is, please raise your hands. I don't see anyone. So committee, is everybody good? Okay, great. Thank you for coming in.
Brian's hand is up.
Brian just spoke. I think he just didn't put his hand down.
Oh.
Is that correct, Brian? Or
that's correct. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So thank you. It seems like you found a better location. So that's wonderful. And Kate, I'm glad you could join us.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Very much.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay, I am going to call again, although I don't see them here. Let's see, Organic Grill, 133 West 3rd Street. If you are here, please raise your hand. Okay, I do not see anyone. So that does it for us going through the applications. You want to just take a few minute break and come back?
What about the chicken one?
That is
ad for chicken, or they?
No. That was withdrawn.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
Ad for chicken was withdrawn. Christian Mancatella, the Organic Bonito one, was laid over, and 357 West Broadway was laid over yesterday. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. So we'll just take a few minute break and come back. Just give me a signal when you're back, just so I know.
I never left, so I'm back.
Okay.
Excuse me, Donna, while you're in your break, is there anything you need me to do to follow up with that Gilly Galley guy?
No, I think she gave us what she had in that email you sent, and I put it in the Google Drive. So I think we're as good as we're going to be right now.
Very good. All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. Okay, so who are we waiting on? Carter, are you back? Let us know when you're back. And Dr. Smith, were you here for the 179 Prince? Well, that was it. Takeshi Sushi you were here for.
I actually got on on the conference, on the committee, on the computer at 6:35.
Okay, so you were here for everything.
I was here, yes.
Yep,
I didn't
thank
miss
you.
a thing. Mhm.
And I'm here as well.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the first one was the 179 Prince Street, Revelie Luncheonette. That was just the alteration to add the storage to the license. So we all deny unless with that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
That was the one that wasn't heard, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Then the next one was the Takeshi Sushi. That was the corporate change, just people were coming off of that one. Are we okay with that?
I think so, yes.
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 Any questions or anything before we, no? 11 to 12, 7 days a week, no outdoor seating. Okay. Deny unless, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us here tonight. Okay. The next one was 450 West Broadway, Principe. That was another corporate change with Robert Goldman staying in charge. Are we?
We're creating a holding company or something like that.
Yeah, which wasn't. Are we denying less with that or?
Yes.
I think so. There's no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Next one was Organic Grill, which was a no-show. So that's a no-show deny. Everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
Just on that one, they sent back and forth some stuff and there was confusion. Can we just make sure that something is said in the no-show denial with respect to that, because they were going to come back and they weren't, right?
Yeah.
The representative withdrew, they didn't. So
Yeah,
I just want to make sure there's something clear if it goes forward, because we did receive a valid 30-day notice and it hasn't been rescinded despite those other communications.
Exactly. And the other thing for that one is we heard this back in May of 2022, so a year ago, as a removal and a relocation from their other location for restaurant line, but the serial number is still for the original address on the lamp system and it's inactive. So that just added to my confusion with all of this. So yes, I think all of that should be spelled out in the deny, correct? Okay. The next one is the cured 218 Thompson. I put in the Google Drive. She could not reach the contractor.
But she came up with the LNO anyway, right?
But she came up with, if you look in the Google Drive, she sent a PDF of an invoice from the expediting company that says on it retainer from LNO. I think, perhaps what we do is just ask her to get us that LNO. Can she do that, Carter? Or?
Yeah, I was just going to say that that her email is incorrect. It's not a C15 overlay. You can look at the zoning map. That is the buildings to the east of there. And this has come up in the past that there is a section within Thompson and Sullivan, north of Bleecker, south of West 3rd, which is zone residential. And this isn't the first time it's come up, but this is the first time this location's been licensed. And generally people don't have to produce a letter of no objection for other uses unless somebody, complains about it or whatever. And so if they have an LNO that they've applied for, that's obviously a step in the right direction. It's not inconceivable by any means that this is a ground floor commercial use here. There's just nothing that shows it. And that's the point of a letter of no objection. And she has the receipt for submitting that. And so I think that if they send it to us when they get it, that's sufficient. But they have pursued it. So I think that's my point.
So it goes in the steps.
Right. Okay. Are we denying us with that, everybody?
Yes.
With that being in the steps?
And I just want to point out, somebody came up to me recently from a past application from some time ago and thanked me for bringing that up, because they did not pursue the location after they went back and spoke to their architect about it and realized that they were wrong, and that they would have been on the hook for a lot of money if they had gone forward with the space, because they would not have been able to use the basement as it was built, because they never had permission to be in the basement. And so anyway, just, it's important, you know, from sometimes to ask those questions, because it answers problems that people may not be aware of in our very historic areas, you know, with respect to each building having its own little patina of, you know, permits and et cetera, C of O's, since many of them all predate those regulations.
And saves them, the applicants, that they might not know. Okay, the next one, Nijamari Marumi, 546 LaGuardia. That's the transfer of the restaurant wine to the gentleman that's been working there for 7 years. Is everybody all right with that one?
Yeah, the one thing I would say is there was at times a bit of a language barrier around the questions about the backyard use. And, you know, he had stipulated that and I take his word for it, the shed is no longer there. But, you know, I just want to point out there was a shed there. I know as recently as, you know, less than a year ago. I don't know that it's still there. So I just want to make sure that the steps to the reso are clear on the point of outdoor uses in the back and in the front, because in case there was some misunderstanding with our communication this time. So
right. No, and it is, I mean, he does say no outside seating. They actually wrote that in on the questionnaire. So, and but I think that backyard, because they, as Carter points out, and I put in the Google Drive, they did come to us at some point to use that backyard. So that will be in there. Are we denying less with this one?
I think so.
Okay. Hakeem Hospitality.
Leon's.
Any thoughts on that? Hours 8 to 12. I think the biggest concern is more the outside on that. So
yes.
I wanted to say, Donna, I really appreciated you bringing up the issue when they were talking about entons, right? I'm on the right place, right?
Yes.
Entons.
Well, we're talking about entons, about the seating on the curb line, because, you know, it is, you know, I appreciate your passion on the issue because it drives me crazy. And I mean, right here on the street where I live, there are a couple of kind of constant offenders, and it's not like they don't know that it's not allowed. They just don't, you know, give a crap what the rules are, you know. So I appreciated your bringing it up and making a point of it.
Thank you. It's my pet peeve, and it's been the one thing that has been much has been consistent from day one. There are a few things, the music and that curbside seating has not changed and is not vague. So it drives me crazy. She is supposed to be getting us a measured diagram to show that this can fit.
I mean, I strongly suspect that the 12th Street side is wide enough to have 8 feet and some tables and chairs. Whether they can have, you know, what that configuration of tables and chairs is my question. I mean, Frank just drew a bunch of tables and chairs on there without, right? It wasn't really a diagram of how table and chairs would fit.
Right. I had gone on the sidewalk, whatever that New York City sidewalk width thing is, and somebody might know a different site than I knew, and it said that it was 12.9 about on the 12th Street side and about 10.5 on the Broadway side. And of course, you know, there's subway grates, it looks like, all against the curb side of that, which open restaurants doesn't seem to care about that in terms of it being an obstruction, I don't believe, but it certainly isn't easy for people. So
Yeah, Donna, I was going to say also, you know, there's the meter, the parking meter. There's a couple signs that are there.
The parking meter is not an obstruction, believe it or not.
No, under the temporary program.
Right.
But there are also 3 manholes. There's a lot of issues here why having an appropriate diagram is really important. So if you put all those tables out, if they do decide to break the rules, similar at Anton's, put out other furniture, have permanent, planters, etc. You know, you start on a busy street like Broadway, starting to have, you know, egress issues. I have no idea whatever those manholes are. It's very unusual to see manholes on sidewalks. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I know I've seen them before, but that's unusual. And that's why having a diagram is really important, so that if we need to revisit this in the future, and I think we should be very clear about anything, anything that we may do, that this does need to be revisited when the permanent program comes along, because of those specific issues. And especially if where you looked on the sidewalk widths, if it's in fact 10 feet, because there's a lot of little issues there with the table placement, which is what I had brought up, and they had said that they could have 2 rows, but if it's in fact 10 feet, I don't think they can have 2 rows. But that being said, there's a little inset because of columns in the building, which is into their space. So, it's not a straightforward situation, but without diagrams, it makes it very complicated. But just to Cormac's point, things that are just blocking the sidewalk that are always there, when a place isn't open, and then things get put on the other sides of them, then an A-frame goes up, then all of a sudden,
service station goes out there.
Exactly. Things get blocked up, and that's a corner space that was clearly identified as a corner to make safer, because there's a bump out on it to make a shorter distance for patrons to cross in that space. And we know that because from our traffic and transportation committee, we've heard a lot of discussion, both 12th and 13th Street with issues there, and et cetera, parking, all those things. And that's generally further west, but still, point being is that these are well-used spaces, and being in a corner location that's not operated well can really constrict the whole point of what 8 feet is supposed to bring, and pedestrian movement around them. You throw in those obstructions, and suddenly it's less space.
And it's a busy corner. The times I've been around there, it's a lot of pedestrians it's not like there aren't people walking around there.
That's why they built out that corner, because it does get quite crowded, right?
So where are we at with this? Is this a deny unless based on seeing the diagrams? Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, it just what we've been doing with places that had sidewalk cafes before is we use the diagrams and we attach that to the stipulations. And so we need a diagram here to attach to the stipulations if we're going that route. So it seems to me that may resolve things in everybody's brain or mind. I don't know, but once there's a diagram and the diagram shows 8 feet, 9 feet, or whatever it shows, they have to stick to that.
I think it would be very helpful.
And I just want to follow up on Bob, because this is not previously licensed,
right?
And we're weighing the impact of a new full on-premise liquor license. That impact on the exterior is a new impact that didn't previously exist. And as a result, that is important to us. So while they may not have to give all this detailed information to the liquor authority, as far as the impacts of a new license here, those are in fact the impacts. So we are certainly well within our purview to ask for accurate information about what they're going to be doing out there specifically, and then also just the obviously pedestrian movement in a corner in public safety is a compelling reason to make sure that we have something that's following all the regulations, and also so that we have a understanding of what the current setup is versus any new rules that might come out, so that we can understand what adjustments might need to be made. So, well, Frank's did say, oh, we don't have to submit that. That's what I'm speaking to. It is a part of our review, because new licenses do create an impact, and with these new rules create an even larger impact.
Sure. I mean, I don't think we have a problem with the inside that. So I think that,
and I don't think anyone has a problem with the sidewalk cafe there. The problem is that we don't have enough information to make that determination.
And the service aisle too is the other thing. I mean, when she was speaking about the 2 tables that would be separated by a little bit of space, and that would give us the 8 feet. Well, you have somebody serving then in the 8 feet.
Right.
So, okay.
And just, with that is that this might not all fit, because nobody had actually measured it. And that's, not uncommon, right? That we've seen when people have gone back to do this, that particularly on the Broadway side, where there are 4 2-tops and 1 4-top, in understanding how that fits in with where this, regular seats would be, etc. And just to your point, I mean, the temporary program doesn't require a service aisle, but that's certainly an impediment to movement of people. And, again, as far as weighing a new license, I think that's a reasonable thing, because we know the consequence in crowded areas of what that brings.
I just want to point out, I mean, for what it's worth, Natalie did say that it had been measured and planned out by the architects, just that she didn't have the information. She said it had been measured, although she didn't know the measurements. So, I mean, for what it's worth, I just want to point that out.
No, it says it on the diagrams. It says how much space is there, but we're not really seeing the table seats. And then, there is nothing for serving, and the subway grates aren't there, and any tree pits or meters or any of that we're not seeing.
Yeah, I mean, to me, denying less contingent upon a diagram, and we all need to look at the diagram. And if it involves the diagram and shows that there's not enough space, we have to go back and say there's not enough space. So I mean, we're kind of like, I don't want to punt this to next month, but at the same time, this is something that has to be resolved in a diagram provided to us. So there is still a contingency. We still have to measure certain things moving forward. That's all.
Right.
And if it's not
some because the other restaurant on Hudson Street, which came up, even though it really isn't about this restaurant. I mean, all that did was serve to make you question a little bit more what, the accuracies of this, but I don't know that that's really fair, even though.
Well, it's she's the manager there, and it's her husband who's on the license. So, and he's the chef here, and She's the owner here, so you know.
And she started out the conversation, Susan, with, I'm going to build a structure on the sidewalk.
I know, I was just going to say that, Bob.
So it raises issues.
And then it was
so
umbrellas.
we
And
that.
so, yeah, to be honest, I don't know how we know which it is, because it got, it kept changing very quickly. And the lawyer didn't even really know.
That's why the STIPs need to say umbrellas only, no structures. We have to be very precise on the stipulations as to what needs to go on that sidewalk.
One of the things I thought was interesting was that Frank was making the point that she's an employee at Anton's, not an owner, and so she can't, whatever, which made sense to me, right? And then Frank seemed to be taken by surprise to find out, though, that her husband, who is one of the owners at Anton, is also going to be one of the owners here.
Yes.
Seemed to surprise Frank. He did not know that.
Yeah, he said he didn't,
Augustine's point, right? I mean, that does make Anton's very relevant, right? Aside from her being a manager, it's at least there's some overlap in ownership. There's at least one owner who's the same. I mean,
and the other thing I just add on to the whole conversation on this is the addendum for outdoor seating, which they didn't supply a lot of the things we asked for. One of the questions we have is, will outdoor dining structures on the sidewalk be enclosed on 3 sides or more? Being, you know, it doesn't say umbrellas, it says on 3 sides or more, and they checked yes off to that. So Susan, to your point, I think, you know, the initial thing, and then the STIPs, Bob, yes, need to be extremely clear, umbrellas, no structures.
Yeah.
Okay, are we,
I think that, Donna, I think that, you know, the way that this might comport with the committee being okay with this is if the diagram comes back and it shows a reasonable layout with tables and chairs that fit within that space with proper clearances, and whatever that layout of the number of tables and chairs is then what is put into the stipulations.
Exactly.
So meaning it's okay if that number goes down
right
from what was presented to us, but it needs to be accurate of what fits.
Right, and I think to Carter's point is we're not done. I mean, we're not done here because we need to make sure it fits. So if it's eight tables or 7 tables or 6 tables instead of whatever's being asked for, okay, then that has to be adapted.
Right.
That's all. We're not quite done
So
yet.
we'll be circling back on this one.
Okay.
We'll get the diagrams from her.
So everybody has to weigh in on it. That's all.
We're tentatively approving it, provided whatever they do send it back to us.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Works. And if it doesn't, and there's still some confusion, I think that we do ask them to return next month.
Right.
If they want to clarify this, because I would not want to just deny it, just have them come back and get it to work, because that doesn't work for them or for us. Because when these weird, resolutions like that go in, it really sets back. It's a disadvantage to them the way that they're currently reviewing them at a liquor authority. So even that extra few weeks with us or extra month may speed them up there in that review.
Okay, so I think we'll circle back with this, and I think we're good with that.
Right.
And then we have Night Owl Comedy.
And just so I'm clear, Donna, on Night Owl Comedy, the STIPs indicate like 1 a.m., but then allow it for certain shows.
Right.
Did they agree to exactly those same STIPs on the hour?
Yes, they did. Yes. I mean, they sent that in. The lawyer, I put the email from the lawyer in the Google Drive that just is kind of pointing that out. I believe they said that tonight as well, that the same STIPs. So it's 1 a.m. close. So the way the STIPs read is closing extended to 4 a.m. in the event a well-known comedian stops in. They will be allowed to perform following scheduled performances.
Yeah, and Dr. Smith, I'm sorry, Dr. Smith, the problem on that sidewalk is the 3 Sheets Saloon.
Absolutely, well, the Pussycat, whatever they call that thing.
The Pussycat.
Both of them are right together. And it's interesting, Lois, what you were saying, but I guess I don't really talk to the people who are like, I'm sorry, I have to take this call. I'm sorry.
No problem. But I think that was important because it really is, that sidewalk is really ridiculous to walk down. And then when they put the trash out, it's just a nightmare.
Oh, I meant to ask about the trash.
Yeah, I'm off the phone now. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it is always very crowded on that side. I didn't own it, that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, but Dr. Smith, is it also the Fat Pussycat place? Because that's a comedy. You know, that's it does have a little bit of a lounge to it, but it's a comedy location.
Well, a lot of noise and stuff comes out of that, of the people with open windows with the drinking.
Windows are open, yeah.
Inside, because it's usually a line and you can't get through. I'm over on the other side, but what's interesting about that block, and everybody here should know that you also got to cross the street, the Blue Note. And sometimes they have lines too. I mean, it's very difficult to walk in. And I come that way from the train station to come home. It's closer for me. Sometimes I can walk further down to Houston and just go. But then it's getting so crowded on those sidewalks too, like James. And you know, you just can't walk on the sidewalks in the community anymore. It's unbelievable. But anyway, but yes, to answer your question, Bob, yes, that's what I was speaking of the push that. Well, I didn't know it was a comedy club. I thought it was like just a club because it's very noisy and you know lots of lines.
Yeah, and so I
just to the nuance, Bob. Just you brought up a lot of it is 3 sheets, which has
the 3 sheets. It's got 2 floors, right? It has two floors.
So that is a constant line versus the line for performances, which line up and then they're gone for 2 hours, and there's nothing there, and then there's a new line. Versus 3 sheets has a constant thing of people going in and out all night.
Is 3 sheets 2 floors?
Yeah.
I believe it is, and so I might be mixing up the 2 because I didn't realize the Fat Pussycat is actually a comedy location at 2 levels. I didn't know that.
And then just Brian was bringing up the historic district, so I've just looked. It's definitely carved out of this Sullivan, the South Village, district, and it's also not in any of the historic districts. What's interesting is I just looked at some pictures from the early 30s when the elevated trains, most people don't realize, went down West 3rd. So they came down 6th and they went east at West 3rd. And then they also constructed the subway station there. So those parks are all pocket parks as part of buildings that were taken down when 6th Avenue was created going south, because it didn't exist then. Most people don't realize that 6th Avenue south of there is relatively new. And it looks like in the 30s that this entire site was excavated as part of something to do with the Public Works project at that time, which is why it's probably carved out from the historic district. But most people don't realize that the elevated trains went across 3rd Street there and then bounced back down. I think at LaGuardia.
It was probably subway construction with construction of the BMT.
Yeah.
6, because that's the bottom end of the West 4th Street station.
So too, in summertime, you have the basketball court too. It gets really crazy in summer. I mean, yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Brian?
The courts close at night.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be kind of bringing this up with Carter. All maps, all the historic maps I'm looking at for this area, there's no carve out. Everything is included.
I put it in the chat. I put it in the chat for the South Village. It's very clearly excluded.
Yeah, and Zola, it's not part of this.
It's not on there. I'll put it in. I'll put it in again. But it's very specifically, and I think that's because of that those sites were not, that and 3 sheets are specifically excluded. But if you look in the chat and you click on that map, you can see that it very specifically on West 3rd cuts out those 2 buildings. And it's consistent with some of the historic photographs that this stuff was all under demolition at that time. in the 30s at least. And so I think that's why those two buildings at 3 sheets in this are just sort of the taxpayers, why McDonald's has a purpose-built building there.
Okay. So,
the question.
Yes, I was just getting there, Dr. Smith. So are we deny unless, is there anything specific? And Dr. Smith, I guess, and Lois, the two of you, I believe I put the steps in the drive for what we had before. I didn't have anything because he wasn't by the park or a bus stop or anything. Is there anything specific I should be adding or just put in the reso? Carter, I had your point about kind of keeping the street clean as a handshake agreement. I thought I'd just mention that in the reso maybe. Is there anything I should be putting in here?
I don't think he could do this, but it would be really nice if on 6th Avenue, turning West 3rd along the playground, that people do not smoke, whatever.
He can't do that. All right, so I can't ask him to do that.
Playground is right.
It could be a dream he made, you know.
Right. They're going to talk to the kids.
Right.
I've seen it before.
The kids are going to talk to them, Louis.
You know, right.
Yeah.
They'll talk to them.
But I'm very concerned because there's a bus stop there too. So if they're going away, that it's not going to be any place.
Well, there's a shelter there, the bus stop shelters. So that really.
So
the sidewalk.
Yeah. And the entrance to the playground is Minetta Lane.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him put a security person in that area if it gets dense when he has.
If it looks like the early show isn't just getting right in there while the park is on. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I'll see if there's something I need to add into this.
I just measured the distance. It's 230 feet roughly to the entrance of the playground. So that's a really long really long distance.
Especially when they only have a capacity of 200 is our max.
Right.
And he could go around to Cafe Wa, meet the lines.
Okay, so we're denying less.
We're good.
Yes.
We're good. Okay, I think that does it.
Wow, we're early.
9 o'clock, folks.
I
just want to say it ended up disaster being sort of okay. Yeah.
Okay,
good. Enjoy your evening.
Good night, everyone, and happy Mother's Day to those of you who are mothers.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.